Next one, we are gradually getting closer to our final page, and as you can see, the red marker is almost done. It's almost similar to what we have in the final one, so let's continue. All right, so for step 81, your border should be visible now, which it is. As you can see, this black border we have here. If no color is set, black is used by default. So as you can see, we have border left width, which is 10 pixels, border left style, which is solid, but we haven't set any color. So if we want to give it a color, the way we can do so is to write border left color, and we just write the color we want to use, in this case black. Okay, next up we want to look at what is called the border left shorthand property. Okay, so as you can see now, we are using border left width, border left style, border left color. Now one thing I already mentioned earlier, is that in programming we want to stay away from repeating ourselves unnecessarily. So since the width, the style, and the color are all affecting the border left, something we can do is just write border left like so, and then the first thing we want to add is the width, so in this case 10 pixels. We want to add the style, which is solid, and then the color, which is black, like so. Now if I should delete all of this, nothing should change. Okay, so as you can see, this is just one line of code as opposed to this, which is 3 lines. So this is easy to write, easy to read as well. Okay, all right, so let's move on to the next one. Okay, so your marker is looking good, but to make it even more realistic, you can change the border style to double solid borders. Okay, so as you can see from here, the border left here is not just one large solid line, but it's 2 lines. So the way you can do this is to use a border style called double instead of solid. So double, and now looking at this and this, you can see it's really close. I think the only thing left for us to do is this shadowy thing we have on the background. Right, so let's continue. So the black color of your border looks pretty harsh against a more transparent sleeve, so you can use an alpha channel to lower the opacity of the black border. Okay, so we just want to lower the opacity of this black border we have here to something a bit lighter. So the way we do that is to use the rgba. So instead of black here, we write rgba, and I've already mentioned that R stands for the redness. In this case, we want 0 because we are looking for a black color. So 0 for green, 0 for blue as well. And then for the alpha, we use 75%. Okay, so this black is of a more lighter shade, which is similar to what we have here. Okay. Next up, what we want to do is to add a cap and sleeve to both the green and blue markers as well. So since we've already done it for the red markers, there's no need to rewrite everything again. The only thing we need to do is to copy this, okay, and paste it here. Okay, once we do green, has the same style, the same thing as the red has, because it's the same class name and the same class name we have on both. So we copy this one here and put it inside the red div, and yeah, the same style should be applied as well. Awesome. Your red marker is looking good. Okay. The last thing you will do is to add a slight shadow to each marker to make them even more realistic. Okay, so as you can see, this is almost the same as what we have here, except for this shadowy glow around it. So to do that, what we use is the box shadow property, and the box shadow property lets you apply one or more shadows around an element. So here's the basic syntax. You write box shadow, which is the name of the property, and it takes 3 arguments. The first one is what you want to use for the X, which is the horizontal line of your shadow, and the Y, which is the vertical line of your shadow, and the color you want your shadow to be. Okay, so here's how the offset X and offset Y value works. So the offset X and offset Y accept number values in pixels and other CSS units like percentage, like rem, em. We'll get to that later. Also, if you want a value of 0 for any of the offsets X or Y, you don't need to add a unit. Every browser understands that 0 means 0. Okay, so we want to start by adding a simple shadow to the red marker. So in the dot red here, what we'll do is we'll add the box shadow property, and for offset X we'll say 5 pixels. For offset Y we'll also say 5 pixels, and for the color we just say red. We need our comma here. Oh wait, so I'll do box shadow, okay, and then 5 pixel for offset X, 5 pixel for offset Y, and then red. Okay, so something is not working. Oh, so we don't need this comma here. Okay, so that's what is wrong. Let me remove this comma here. All right, so now as you can see, we have this box shadow around our figure. So let's assume instead of 5 for the offset X, or for the X, I write 50. See what happens? A shift to the right side. If I do -50, it will shift to the left side. Okay, now let me keep it back to 5, and let's do 50 for the Y as well. Okay, now I sent the shadow all the way to the bottom. You see, I did 250 and you sent it way down. Okay, but let's keep it to 5 pixels. Okay, as you can see, you added a simple red shadow around your marker that's 5 pixels to the right and 5 pixels down. But what if you wanted to position your shadow on the opposite end, or on the opposite side? You can do that by using negative values for offset X and Y. So like we already did in the previous one, just add negatives here, and it will shift to the left and it will shift to the top. Okay, Okay, notice that the edges of the boxes are sharp. This is because there is an optional blur radius value for the box shadow property. Okay, so the way we can add blur radius, but if okay, so if we don't include a blur radius, like we haven't included blur radius, then what happens is that it defaults to 0. That's why with our shadow we don't see any blur. It's just a sharp solid color. Okay, so yeah, the higher the value of the blur radius, the greater the blurring effect is. Okay, so in the green CSS rule, add the box shadow property with a value. So let's first add a box shadow property, and want to give it a value of 5 pixels for X, 5 pixels for Y, and then for the color we want to use green. Okay, oh wait, so we are supposed to add a blur radius of 5 pixels as well. So let's add a blur radius of 5 pixels. Okay, so now look at the first one, the red without the blur radius. You see the shadow has a sharp solid color of red, but with a green that has a blur radius of 5, the shadow is a bit blurred around the edges. Alright, so for step 89, we want to look at a situation where we want the shadow to expand out further, because that's what we have in our final page. As you can see here, this markers have shadows around them, which is blurred and which is spread out, nicely. So if we want to have that effect, then we have to use something called the spread radius. Okay, so for the blue marker, we are going to first add the box shadow property, and then for the offset value of offset X, we use 0. For Y, we'll also use 0. For blur radius, we use 0. And for the spread radius, we use 5 pixels. And the color we're going to use is blue. Okay, so now as you can see, it has no blur radius, it has no X and Y, so it's distributed evenly and not shifted upwards or downwards or leftwards or to the right, and there is no blur around it. So okay, now for the final step in this video, now that you're familiar with the box shadow property, you can finalize the shadow, starting with 1 for the red marker. So in the red CSS rule, which we have here, we want to update the values for the box shadow. So we want to set offset X to 0. So offset X, we just say 0. For offset Y, we'll also say just 0. For blur radius, we just say 20 pixels. For the spread radius, we just say 0. And yeah, the color is red. So now, as you can see, we have this really nice looking red glow around the red marker. Okay, all right, so that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Do well to like the video and subscribe, and see you in the next one.